Following from what was my personal favorite Galaxy S series devices, the S22 Plus and S22, we now have the year later arrival of the S23 Plus and S23, and it's safe to say that we potentially have the new Premium Minimalist Kings of the smartphone world. Hi, Ben from Sam Mobile. If you enjoy new and exclusive new videos like this, then be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos on YouTube with Sam Mobile TV. Here is our super quick hands-on and first look with the Galaxy S23 Plus and S23. Both the S23 Plus and S23 come in 4 colors, being Phantom Black, Cream, Lavender, and Green. The standout colors for me personally are the green and cream color. As always, Samsung continues to use premium materials for the fit and finish of their flagship devices and takes this further by being the first to use the latest Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 for the front and back panels of the phones, finished off with their class-leading matte frosted finish. The biggest change to the design has got to be the removal of the camera contour cutout found on the S22 for a more minimalistic look, which further emphasizes the triple camera hardware at the back. I personally am one that more prefers the elegant look of the S22, as it did make the phone feel like a piece of classy jewelry, but I will say that the minimal look of the S23 works really well and should be a hit for the masses. The S23 Plus and S23 are using the tried and tested Dynamic AMOLED 2X display with a full high definition plus resolution with an adaptive refresh between 48Hz and 120Hz like before. The display sizes remains the same at 6.6 inches for the S23 Plus and 6.1 inches for the S23, with the best physical feature being the use of a completely flat design and perfectly symmetrical borders. What's even better to see now is that the S23 benefits from the same 1750 nits of peak brightness as the Plus and Ultra, upgraded from the 1300 nits from the S22. This is still the best design display experience from Samsung, and I'm glad it's here to stay and is also applicable to the base S23. For the specs and performance, if you happen to be in a region like myself who has always been dealt with the Exynos variant of the S series year on year, then it's finally time to rejoice, because just like on their foldable flagships, it's an all Snapdragon party and experience for everyone. The S23 series is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 mobile platform built for Galaxy, with a base 8GB of LPDDR5X RAM and 256GB of UFS 4.0 storage on the S23 Plus. As you've heard by the name, this isn't the standard 8 Gen 2, but a slightly tweaked and optimized version of the SoC system on a chip that is set to bring better performance across the board without a sacrifice to the efficiency from what we've been told. Further testing will definitely be needed to really see if this is the case, but regardless, I am so happy and pleased to finally see Snapdragon being the main chipset to drive all Galaxy S23 series devices in all regions for a more consistent experience with the camera, CPU, graphics, and power draw efficiency. Let's break down the RAM and storage options for both the S23 Plus and S23, because there are slight differences. The S23 Plus comes in 2 SKUs, 8GB of RAM and 256GB of UFS 4.0 storage, 8GB of RAM and 512GB of UFS 4.0 storage. The S23 comes in 3 SKUs, 8GB of RAM with 128GB of UFS 3.1 storage, then 8GB of RAM with 256GB of UFS 4.0 storage, and 8GB of RAM with 512GB of UFS 4.0 storage. For the sake of getting it off our chest, we did ask the question of why there is no Exynos chipset this time around, and the simple answer given was that there was no Exynos chipset announced this time around, which would have been the Exynos 2300 beforehand, like what they would usually do. The focus this time around was testing the best chipset in partnership with Qualcomm to offer the best flagship experience for S-series Galaxy users. As simple as that answer may be, we are just happy that this time around we do not have to worry about an in-house battle between Snapdragon and Exynos. Well done finally, Samsung. Let's continue this going forward. Both the S23 Plus and S23 are sticking to a familiar camera hardware configuration with a 50 megapixel main sensor, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 10 megapixel 3x zoom. You won't find a macro shooting mode for photos built into the ultra wide, as that is still reserved for the S23 Ultra, but you do get the new and improved 12 megapixel selfie camera as well. For what is new and improved of the camera, there is now an 8K 30 frames per second video shooting mode with a massive reduction in crop, resulting in finally having a wider field of view. More testing is needed to see if the stabilization and rolling shutter jello effect have also improved, but for now, this could be the first flagship phone to have a usable 8K video recording mode. Video portrait mode has now improved with finally a 4K UHD option, which works on the main 3x zoom and selfie sensors. There's still no option to change the blur after you finish recording, but with the option of 4K UHD and Samsung's class-leading edge detection, this is an improvement I've been personally waiting for since the Galaxy S21. Samsung's Super Steady mode also sees an upgrade with now the ability to record in 1440p QHD in both 30 and 60 frames a second. The improvements to low light photography doesn't stop there, as we finally see for the first time a dedicated astrophotography mode. This can allow you to do long exposures when the phone is placed on a tripod to take photos of the night sky. Like we saw in the improvements to image stabilization on the Fold and Flip series powered by the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, Samsung's adaptive VDIS video digital image stabilization backed with a wider OIS angle, noise reduction in video via multi-frame processing, Astro Hyperlapse mode, it's safe to say that the camera upgrades are looking like a bigger upgrade than the specs suggest. We definitely can't wait to test this, as this is looking very promising. The S23 Plus and S23, next to the S23 Ultra on the software side of things, are the first Galaxy devices to ship with One UI 5.1, built on Android 13. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on, as we will have a One UI 5.0 versus One UI 5.1 comparison between the S23 Ultra and S22 Ultra to see what is really new with the 0.1 upgrade. Regardless, the foundation of the software experience should be very much the same, and to save time here, we highly recommend you watch our extensive One UI 5 video playlist for all the top features that make One UI 5 great. All this tells us is that Samsung is now one of the most committed Android OEMs when it comes to software updates. In terms of battery and charging experience, the S23 Plus is packing a 4700 mAh battery with support for 45 watt super fast wired charging, while the S23 is packing a 3900 mAh battery with 25 watt wired charging. Both support 15 watt wireless charging and wireless power share. As expected, there will be no included charger, meaning you will have to purchase the 45 watt super fast charger separately to experience the maximum speeds offered for the Galaxy S23 Plus and the 25 watt charger for the S23. This is a decent increase in capacity for the battery compared to the previous models on the S22 Plus and S22, and fingers crossed, with the efficiency improvements from the 8 Gen 2 mobile platform built for Galaxy, we should have much better battery life. The S23 Plus is priced at £1,049 and £1,149 respectively, with the S23 priced at £849 and £899 respectively. It may seem like Samsung played it safe with the S23 Plus and the S23, but ultimately, I think they've made the right changes that will still make the S23 Plus and S23 a great hit? What's your thoughts on the S23 Plus and S23? Let us know in the comment section below. For the latest news in the world of Samsung Daily, be sure to visit us at sammobile.com, and for the latest videos on YouTube with Sam Mobile TV, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, and we will see you next time.